Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I have a new layout and video to share for Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2020 April kits for this, and oh my goodness, are they gorgeous. Look at these colors. It's full of crepe paper sweet story, and I'm obsessed with it already. There's some of the really pretty Summer Market from Carta Bella, I think it's called. And yeah, there's just such a variety of colors. Look at that rainbow paper. Oh my goodness, I did not even know where to start. But my assignment for this week is to create a grid layout. And so my first thought was this paper here from Crepe Paper. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that this layout goes through several hot mess stages because I was suffering from severe quarantine brain during the making of this layout. And so my layout changes several times, and yeah, I think the end result is good, but the process was pretty stressful because I just couldn't concentrate. I couldn't make decisions, and I tried to leave as much of it in the footage here for the video as I could, just because I wanted to share, you know, every layout does not come together easily. So yeah, hopefully I will be able to make sense of all of the things that I wind up doing. Anyway, here's my picture. I love this picture. This is from 2013. It's one of the rare pictures of my girls in the same picture. They are usually separate because they are never together. And so this was one where they were close together in the pool. And so I love it. I think it's so cute. So I'm just going to try to start by planning out this grid idea. I wanted to do, 4 squares and then have my photo on that top left section. And so I'm just going through the pocket life cards, some of the embellishments and other parts of that cut apart sheet, and just starting to layer. I was in the mood to do lots of layering. Whenever I think of a grid pattern, I like to separate each of the quadrants up into its own little section, kind of like its own little layout. So I'm just trying to, scatter colors around, scatter patterns around. I'm not going to do tone on tone here, so I'm going to scatter all the colors all over the page. I do want to cut out this floral cluster here from a pocket life card. I think it's really, really pretty, and I'm going to use that somewhere. It's got some cute little animals on it. And I really love the mixture of colors here. I wanted to bring in some of that green from that striped pocket life card. I want to use some of this coral color, so I'm going to cut this cut apart piece out and layer that in. And this is just kind of a starting point here. I was just trying to get an idea. I didn't even know what I was going to use for a background. There's so many stickers. We get a chipboard, 12 by 12 size chipboard sticker sheet from this Crepe Paper collection, a pack of die cuts, so many cute things. Everything is just so cute. I wanted to use all of it, but anyway, so I kind of have an idea where I'm going to start, and that's going to change. And I just decided to go with some white textured cardstock as my background. And so here's my grid idea. I was going to separate it into 4 squares and do a little bit of mixed media behind each square. So I'm just trying to lightly trace around each one so I'll know where the squares are going to go, and then work on the mixed media around those pencil lines. And this cardstock is it's plain textured cardstock from the cardstock kit. So it's not super thick or anything like that. Okay, here's where we start to go a little wonky with my brain. This is going to be a layout with no gesso. Can you believe that? As much as I sing the praises of gesso, I wanted to try something different here. I wanted to do some brushstroke type things behind each of these squares. So I got out some cheap craft paint, just acrylic craft paint, and a big wide dry brush, and I thought that I would just sort of brush a layer of color behind the square, kind of like you see there. And for something like this, you don't really need gesso because I'm not trying to blend it or smudge it into another color or anything like that. I just want it to look kind of messy, like actual brush strokes. And I like how that looks. because, you know, I don't want everything perfectly straight. I want it to be kind of haphazard and messy looking. All right, so I decided to do a black square. So I'm going to do the same thing because my photo's black and white, and there are black elements in the papers and in some of the embellishments I'm going to use. So I thought black would be good, and I like how this looks. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to kind of dab that up. And the good thing about using acrylic paint like this is it dries really fast. So you don't have to wait for a really long time for it to dry. So I tried to decide what other colors to use. So I'm going to go with pink next, and I'm going to use one of the paints that we get in the color kit this month, and it is Art Philosophy. I believe it's from Prima, and this color is called Blush, and it comes in a little bottle with a little dropper. We also get a green color and a yellow color, but this is the pink color, and I'm just going to squeeze a little bit on and then brush it around like I would the paint. It's a very pretty color, and that worked out okay. I didn't need gesso for that because, like I said, I'm not going to spritz water to this and make it, you know, look like watercolor. The last square, I decided to use more acrylic paint from my stash, and this is a metallic gold color. Do the same thing. So now I've got my 4 quadrants. And I think this looks kind of cool. It's different, and that's okay. I like to try different things every now and then. So now I'm going to come back and put everything back on top and see what we've got. And as soon as I start building it back together, I'm not too crazy about it. I don't know if it's because it takes up so much space on the cardstock and I don't have a lot of white space. It just seemed to be too much. And I didn't like the way the painted squares overlapped each other. I don't know. I didn't like it. I took a break, took everything off, rearranged it into a vertical pattern. Now this is not a grid, I know. And I like the way that cardstock looks, but I'm going to cut these out. I know you're probably thinking, what? But I always say, if you make a background, whatever it may be, and you don't like it, don't throw it away. Either cut it up or punch shapes out of it. Do something to make it look different. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep these and kind of treat them like frames. So I'm going to cut them out, just kind of messy around the brush strokes, cut out the inside, and then I'm going to use my little edge distresser there to kind of ruffle up and distress the edges. So I don't know how these are going to work, but I thought I'm not going to waste this background, but I just didn't like it the way it was. So, yep, I'm going to cut all 4 of them out and kind of do the same thing there. Okay, so I layered them back in underneath all of the crepe paper pieces, and I like how this is looking. It's different. It's kind of a cascading frame type of layout with the picture at the top. Then I decided to kind of change some of the colors around. I chose that gold acrylic paint because it kind of matched the yellow frame, because that yellow is more of like a mustard yellow color, and I liked the contrast of the gold. So I like how this is looking. I'm going kind of away from the grid idea, but I like it better than what I had. So I'm going to keep playing with this and see what happens. Just playing around with some of the embellishments. I'm going to cut out another floral cluster here from the crepe paper sheet. I don't wind up using that, but I still have it, so I can use it on something else. Okay, so now I'm going to go and start to glue down all 4 segments. So I still want everything separated into 4 sections. So I'm going to ruffle up the edges of everything. I want this to be very textured and very dimensional. I want the edges to be wonky and crooked. So I'm going to start to make sure I distress quite a bit of this. All right, so I'm layering down the first piece with the photo. I did add some tissue paper and some adhesive foam behind that to give it a little bit of dimension. I'm just kind of lightly gluing it all down. So that segment is, or segment, I keep saying segment. Section is done, and I'm going to do the same thing for all 4 pieces. All right, so then I took another break and played around with it again, and I decided, no, I want to make this grid work. So I kind of rearranged everything into this idea, which is kind of a crooked, wonky grid. But I still think it's considered a grid in my crazy brain. So I'm going to glue all of that together, not to the background, but so now it's all one big thing I can just kind of take off and put back on. Okay, there are the 3 colors that we get this month. What I wanted to do now is bring some of that green color that you see on the bottom with the dark blue color up to the top. So I'm going to mix and match some colors here. This is a green shimmers that we got, I think, in the 2018 Christmas kits. And then I'm going to mix it with the green color that we get this month. The Art Philosophy, this green color is called Lucky. So I'm going to mix those 2 colors together. And I'm going to add a little bit of color up at the top. And I did not use gesso. Again, this is just textured white cardstock. And I wish I would have used gesso. I struggled to get the colors to kind of smudge and blend. I think it looks okay in the end, but there is a huge difference in the smudge factor and the blending factor when you use gesso versus when you don't. The more I used my finger to smudge the color, the paper instantly started to ball up. And so when you use gesso, that's not going to happen. But I didn't add that much, so it was okay in the end. But I could tell a big difference on my end. I think in the final picture, you really won't be able to tell if I use gesso or not. But during the process of me making this, I was saying to myself, I wish I would have used gesso, but you know, it's okay. All right, so I'm going to come back to the pink. And I'm going to wind up adding more to this because this pink color is the same color as the pink frame that I painted earlier that's down there. So this is basically the same color. And this is a part where I wish I would have mixed and matched. So I took a break and came back, pulled out one of the more recent colors that we got from Lindy's. This isn't an older kit, but it's more recent. This is Hibiscus Rose, deeper pink color. So I'm going to add that in just a little bit to make that a darker pink so it stands out from the frame that I painted that's right on top of it. And I didn't want to get too crazy with the liquid because, like I said, I didn't use gesso and I didn't want the paper to start to crumble. And yeah, I don't know. This is a point in the layout when I was making it, I just felt so, I don't know, scatterbrained. Like I said, I was just, my mind was elsewhere and I wasn't really liking anything that I was doing. But I wanted to get it finished. I was in the mood to create, but it's just nothing seemed to be working right. I decided to add some yellow over to the left, but I couldn't get the color right. I pulled out the Yellow Rose of Texas shimmers, not shimmers, I'm sorry, Lindy's that we got, because the yellow color that we get in this month's kit is more of a springy, lighter yellow, and the yellow in this crepe paper collection is more of a mustard. So I just decided to layer in a little bit of that gold paint that I used earlier, and it made it match a little bit better. All right, I took a break again, did some machine stitching. I went a little crazy with my black thread and my sewing machine, so I just kind of added some texture, some interest, some more pops of black with my sewing machine. So you can kind of see now that I can just move all 4 squares at the same time. So I wanted to darken up that pink section, so I pulled out my red gelato, and I couldn't do a lot of smudging because my paper was seriously starting to crumble, and you can kind of see it there. But yeah, I was kicking myself for not using gesso. You can kind of see the little crumbs there from the paper starting to come apart. So lesson learned, and I knew that going in, but I didn't really think I was going to add that much liquid to the background, but you know, it is what it is. So now we're going to go into some embellishing. I'm going to use some butterflies. I'm going to use that fussy cut flower cluster over on the left. And I moved that around so much that the little bunny broke off. So the bunny is going to be saved for another layout. Look at all of these chipboard pieces. Aren't they all gorgeous? The colors are just Love, love, love. I'm going to use this big black suite piece because it's perfect. It's big. I like the font, and it's black. And I wanted a black title because it's going to stand out right there against all of those colors behind it. And I knew right away I wanted to use that. And it was perfect. Perfect everything for that specific spot. And I just try a couple other things. Like I said, this is not tone on tone, so I'm trying to scatter yellow everywhere. I'm trying to scatter pink everywhere. I'm going to use that cute little camera sticker. And yeah, I want to add in a couple more pops of black here and there, but I'm going to use this sticker from the crepe paper sticker sheet. I'm just going to cut it in half and use a little bit up top, a little bit down below. And just keep playing around with certain things. It was hard to pick and choose because everything coordinates perfectly together. Cute little sticker sheet of dimensional butterflies. And the more I looked at the section where the picture was, the more I felt like it needed another little layer behind it to make it stand out a little bit more. So I pulled out this light orange Pocket Life card and just trimmed it down to layer behind the photo. I felt like it was getting kind of lost against those pink flowers up in that top section. So I just wanted a little more separation of a kind of a border behind the photo to make it pop a little bit more. So that's all I did there. And then this is the Carta Bella Summer Market chipboard sticker sheet. There's a couple of little pieces on there that I'm going to use. This one says summer. And then I'm going to use that little green piece at the top. And it says something about summer. And I just wanted it mainly because it was green. I'm going to use two cameras. I'm going to layer these two cameras together. They're both from the crepe paper sticker sheet. And I'm going to put some adhesive foam behind there to pop them up. And just kind of layer them together. And I don't want to overcrowd the "You Are Loved" because I love how that looks with the black letters on the white. And I wanted that to stand out. So I just wanted to add a couple of embellishments around that, but not too overcrowding. I am going to pull in some thread. I'm going to use black thread because I wanted more pops of black here and there. I'm going to break up that pink using some thread there, kind of peeking out behind those two cameras, and then another bit of black thread over on the left on top of that green section. And I did leave some of the black thread hanging where I machine stitched. This is a little see-through transparent piece that says sweetness, the sweetest maybe. I'm going to use that as a little layer. And then, yeah, some of the things I'm going to add adhesive foam under just to give them a little bit more dimension. And then I brought some more of that royal blue up to the top. I think that's a little cluster of blueberries, but I just like the color of it, so I layered that in up at the top by that die cut that says sweet. And then I'm going to glue it all down. I'm just going to leave it where it is and very carefully add some glue underneath each piece, and then glue down all the little bits that aren't glued down yet. I wanted the sweet title to stand out a little bit more, so I do smudge a little bit of white gesso over this pattern here just to kind of soften it up and allow the sweet to really stand out a little bit more. And then I'm going to glue that down. And I'm almost done with this massive video. I feel like my videos get longer and longer because I'm trying to leave in so much of my indecisiveness. But I just wanted to show you that that happens quite frequently. I use that yellow flower. I cut it in two, so I use the part with the leaves up at the top and the other section over there by the butterfly. And then I'm going to cut out some of these green circles from this Pocket Life card just to add some pops of that bright green in a couple places. I'm not even a green fan, but I just felt like I needed more green on this layout. I needed all the colors, and yep, just needed more green. All right, one of the last things I think I'm going to do is add in my journaling, and I only see one spot for that. Can you guess where the journaling is going to go? Yep. Oh wait, we're not there yet, are we? I forgot about my black splatters. Yep, black splatters. Here we go. Now we're going to add in the journaling. Yep, over to the left. There's just a little pocket right there. That's perfect. And I'm going to use my black fine tip Sharpie to talk about how excited I was that my kids were in the same picture, because that hardly ever happens. And then we're done. I do like the end result of this. I like how dimensional and textured and layered this turned out. The making of this was very stressful because, you know, obviously we're all stressed out. This quarantine is getting to me. It's making me crazy. But through all the trials and tribulations of this layout, I do like the end result. I hope it inspires you in some way. I hope something that I did in this video gives you some ideas to try, even if it's painting a background or cutting up a background or layering things together, anything at all. And you can kind of see how no gesso still turned out okay. So if you don't have gesso, it's not the end of the world. If you want to do mixed media, it is still doable. Anyway, let me know if you guys have any questions. Thank you for sticking with me through this long video, and I will see you in my next video. So I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you soon.